Hello everyone, my name is Clutch, and welcome to Lucifer Mechanics Garage of drag, speed, and styrene customs fabrication.
Those gears straight out of hell. The front wheels never touch the ground, destroying everything that affects, making me rich for my sins. Welcome to the Lucifer's Mechanics Garage.
This is Clutch coming at you with another edition of Lucifer Mechanics Garage. Today I kind of wanted to go over some reference material for you guys. I know a lot of you guys use this system. Besides using Google and Bing or whatever to do your research, I kind of find it more handy. All I got to do is just go to pull a picture up out of this, something I can't find on the internet, out of these books, and then go to the printer I got, and then print them out, whatnot. You got a whole slew of reference material. Now these right here, if you like to build a certain genre or certain kinds of things, I always suggest people to get in there and buy books, okay, to help you figure stuff out. If you like to be a correct kind of builder, okay. A lot of people, they just like to build what's in the box, do some detailing and stuff, and then there's some that like to go the extra mile and really get in there and make things correct the way they look. Both ways is effective way of building. It's all in what you want to do. Me, I'm more of a full-on detail kind of guy. There when I first started building, it was just like when I first started building stock cars, all I believed in is putting the biggest motor in it, the most outlandish thing that you could put on a circle track and go for it. But then through the years, I started reining myself in more and more, trying to be correct and make things look like they're supposed to and build within the realm of what actual reality is. But both ways is fun of building, just how far you want to take it. The reference material is a big part of our hobby. Books, magazines, stuff like that we can use when we're looking up to build certain parts. I buy these a lot. I'm not subscribed to it, but my local Walmart or local grocery store usually has these, or Advance Auto and stuff. So I pick one up, one or two a year or so. I got a stash over there. It's got different builds, different motors and stuff, and it's good for reference. It helps you with just like looking at heads and stuff like that you can use, pictures and stuff if you're looking to build certain things the correct way, intakes for different motors, headers, just anything that you can just let your imagination run wild of how things are supposed to look. So these are real nice to have. Stock cars. Now I used to love to build short track cars, okay. Modifieds, I had a friend that sent me this, had wound up with a bunch of them, I'd say about 10 years ago, and he sent me one of these for free. Now if you try to buy one of these off eBay now, you're going to pay a lot of money for it. Lancaster Heroes. This has, if you're a stock car builder and like to build correct period cars from that area, modifieds, this has got everything you need in there to basically get some good shots to build your favorite driver or whatnot. There's Richie Evans, one of my favorites. This guy was good, man. Passed away on us. But a lot of these are your short track heroes from back in the day, back when short track was king. So I just love this book. It always came in handy. When I was building modifieds and stuff like that back in, because I like to build that year. So, but another great one. If you can pick it up cheap, do it, because I doubt if you'll get it cheap though. Let's see, before I get into the model part of it, also here's a good one I like to pick up, is Riding Culture. This has got a variety of builds in it. They got gassers, they got, cruisers, just all kinds of cool stuff. Of course, got some cool pinup girls, but they got choppers and vans and just all kinds of stuff that you can get crazy ideas from. And what I like about stuff like this is it just goes to show you the different setups that people have that you can build. Some people look at your model and they'll be like, well, why did they do that? Or this, or they see how the fuel rails is. People used to put them in different spots. It just goes to show you that some things you see is not beyond the realm of possibility. How they used to build. That's what I like about old stuff. But this thing's a wealth of information if you want to build, hot rods or gassers, stuff like that. Beautiful build. I'd love to build that in a model one day, especially 1/16 scale. It's a cool little story behind it. I read it. But there's all kinds of stuff, motorcycles. Look at that. This is another one that I'd like to get put together one day, this Nova. He actually restored this car, and but they never did run it down the track the way it used to, because they was just, they just basically restored it. It was kind of dangerous, but still, nice reference. It's got all kinds of pictures of it, stuff like that. If you wanted to build it, it's got the injection system, where they run the lines. It actually got a radiator, but the radiator's in the trunk. Just all kinds of stuff that you can pick up from this stuff. But nice reference material to use. Same here, as you see. I like to collect these. Custom rodder. Another one if you like to build like cruisers, like the old Saturday night cruisers and stuff. Another great one to pick up, just to get some ideas, chopping tops, different styles to build from, ideals for wheels, tires, just all kinds of cool stuff. So that's another one to throw in your arsenal. And there's another, just going to show you, there's a nice little Willys gasser, that they got pictures of, the motor, the Mickey Thompson Ford Hemi. Which we're going to get into that down the road because I want to build one of these. Now, here is the real stuff that I like. Now, I picked this up off of eBay right here because I love gassers and altered wheelbase cars. This thing is a wealth of information. They've actually got more of these for funny cars and stuff, how to restore them and redo them, and how to build them. I'm going to add it to the collection. But this has got all kinds of cool stuff in it. It's even got a section here about the Match Bash models that you could build. Because this guy who wrote this, which is, what's his name? He's kind of a big guy in the industry. Steve Magnete, I think is his name, if I pronounced that right. But anyway, this thing is a wealth of information for alters and even gassers. It's got all kinds of stuff, shows you the steps, how to do it. It's got histories on a lot of the gassers that they're working on, they're recreating. But it's got a wealth of information of how to build your gassers. They do 3 projects in this car, in this magazine, and from start to finish, they show you, what to do. They even got a, if I can find it. Anyway, this right here is a wealth of information. Try to add stuff like this into your collection if you can. It helps you out a lot. Okay, I like to get stuff like this from companies. The stock car products. This can be used for stock cars and a lot of other stuff. What I like about these is if you go in and look, it gives you little ideas on shocks and A-frames and just anything. It's a wealth of information of just looking at pictures to see how things are put together, what they should look like, your rear ends, your quick changes. Just all kinds of cool stuff that you could actually sit down. Now, I've actually sat down and made these for my modifieds. These spring holders, your shock holders for your modified stock cars or whatnot. Just saying stuff like that for your shock mounts, anything to give you an idea of how things should work. Setups for your third arms, chassis setup, and your old time sliders that they used to use back in the day. They still use them today on stock cars for the rear leaf springs. So these things are a wealth of information. They can help you out with reference of just trying to build a part or figure something out how it should be. I've used these things quite often. I think I ordered this one back in, I don't even know what year it is. I'd say I've had this close to, it says new 04, so I've had it ever since 04. So that comes in handy. Same with this same here, the Coleman's. They've got tons of information. Same thing. I mean, a lot of this stuff can be applied to like hot rodding and stuff. Also, it ain't got to be exclusively for stock cars, because there's all kinds of stuff in here that you can design and come up with or see how it works. So I love these things. All right, let's get down to the model cars. Okay, also here's the AFCO shock. If you want to build shocks, sorry about that. It's got the Heim joints, stuff like that. Wealth of information, panels, just all kinds of stuff. Shocks, I mean, anything. It comes in real handy, Look at that. You just call them, write them, and they'll send you a free magazine. All right, now let's get down to basics. Model cars. Now, everybody on YouTube is full of how-tos. Magazines are full of how-tos. There's a wealth of information out there, published, whether through YouTube or magazines or DVDs. This right here, believe it or not, when I first got in the hobby, I bought this one. It's a Terry Jesse edition. Build and detail model cars like a pro. Now, I really don't forget how much I paid for this. I think I paid like $7 for it or something at my local bookstore. But I'm sure a lot of you got this, or some of you might, and some of you new guys that are in the hobby, don't have this. But this right here has got a ton of information in it on stuff that you can use, build right, like a section build right out of the box. It's got all kinds of stuff, basically stuff that's rehashed over and over again. Everybody's got different techniques, and they've updated these ways of doing things since these books have been put out. But basically, it runs around the same aspect of it's even got a section how to work with resin, which is pretty cool. It's got an old model house model in there for Model House. They're closed now, so that's pretty cool to have this. But anyway, it's wiring engines and just doing all kinds of airbrushing, paint, just all kinds of reference and techs and tips that you can use with this right here. So if you ain't got this in your stash, and you're a beginner, I suggest getting this. Believe it or not, when I first got in the hobby, I was so desperate of wanting to become a good modeler that I read this thing religiously all the time. Everywhere I went, I took this book with me, and I was reading it, and then then I started figuring it out that instead of building a plastic model, I just treat them like I build a one-to-one car. So things started to become more clearly to me. So yeah, get that. Terry Jesse's got some great magazines out. Here's a Bill Coulter scale model stock cars, because I was really big into stock cars. But this thing's got a wealth of information in it, how to build a correct stock car, years, and just all kinds of stuff that you can read if you love building in that genre. I highly suggest grabbing this. It comes in handy. It's got a bunch of pictures of some killer builds and some information. It's really good. Bill Coulter, I really like him. He puts out some good material. So try to grab that if you can, just to have. Here's another one from Bill Coulter. This is Encyclopedia Price Guide. I don't know. I bought this, and it just kind of, it's got some little texts and tips in there on more stock car stuff, how to build and everything. Pretty, it's got some nice builds in there, kind of gives you an idea of, stock cars and stuff people built. It also gives you a listing on all the products, stock car kits out there, which I've got a lot of nice collector stock car kits that I'm planning on selling. But yeah, here's got my good friend Carl Stark. I got a section there on him. I'm real good friends with Carl, and he used to own the early racing classics. But it's got a big section on there on his stuff, which is pretty cool. It's just got little stuff that you can buy. See, there's ProTech and a lot of cool stuff that you can do to build stock cars. So yeah, this right here is something to add if you're a stock car builder. Add it into your arsenal of readery. Pretty cool. All right, now I picked this up at a model car show. Fine scale modeler. I've really been aiming to subscribe to them. Now, if anybody knows, especially on YouTube, if you really want to know how to detail and weather a model or airbrush or anything like that right there, not only does the automotive part guys, part of the hobby guys know a lot, but these guys right here, your train, your airplane, your armory, and your figure guys, man, when it comes to airbrushing and techniques, you really need to pay attention to their videos, because them cats know what they've been doing, and they've got really cool techniques for airbrushing and stuff. Gil over at Red Dragon Models, he's a real good guy when it comes to airbrushing. I suggest going and subscribing to his channel. He's got some nice stuff on there about airbrushes and stuff, and he's got a live show that he does, like a group thing on Saturday nights, I think. So I suggest you go over and hang out with them. You get a lot of cool tips and tech stuff from them guys, talking about weathering and stuff and painting. But I picked this up, and I tell you what, I've had this for a long time. But magazines like this is what got me interested into really getting into the airbrushing part of it. It's just basic. It just shows you the basic stuff, anything. So it's free, and they usually have them at the big shows. So I picked one of them up. Now, Scale Auto. There's a bunch of magazines out, other magazines that you could pick up. At the top of my head, now that I'm on the spot, I can't think, but I've got a bunch of them over here. These right here, if you go to any kind of shows, some of the bigger shows or some of the smaller shows, there's always one or two people or just one guy that's got like boxes of these, okay? And you usually pick them anywhere from $1 a piece, 50 cents a piece. It depends. You can buy 10 for $5 or whatever, but you can pick these things up for little or nothing. I really don't subscribe to them. You get them every 2 months or something like that. But I just, every once in a while, I grab one at the local hobby store, at my local bookstore, just check out what's coming out. I really like this since Clay Kemp has got in more into the magazine, because Clay Kemp is full of information. He's one of the guys that really inspired me to build the way I do. And I always followed him, and I talked to Clay a lot at the shows. Real good guy, and he puts out a wealth of information in these. Anyway, like I said, you can buy these things for little or nothing on eBay, at your local, like I said, shows, stuff. But these things are full of wealth of information. Like I said, I got a box full of these. Just from when they first started all the way to now. Like right there's one, Scale Auto Enthusiast, that I picked up while I was at the hobby shows. But if you look in these, even back from the early days, they got a section in there, like where you call in, like where you can write in your questions, or now you can go in through computer and do it. But they always come up with, that you send in questions and they give you an answer. And they, just like little stuff like this, they give you how-tos on stuff, little things that you can just look up. reviews. Of course, we all know this. We all own hobby magazines. But these things have got, they're full of information, especially if you start collecting them from years, and you basically get just about every how-to there is, you know, in this hobby. You know, as far as doing things. I mean, they show you paint tips, you know, just everybody sends in their little tips on these things, and a lot of these are just rehashed. I mean, you'll go in, I've owned so many of these from way back that actually they'll print the same tip over and over again, just maybe improved a little bit, because because we go in and rehash improvements on the tips. But yeah, I mean, you pick, like I said, you can pick these up dirt cheap at a show on eBay or something like that. If you want to, if you subscribe to them, you know, it's all good. You know, I don't really subscribe to them because I'd rather spend my money on some other stuff. But, you know, they're nice to have just to look at every once in a while, see somebody's build. You might know somebody in them. Believe it or not, I've got about 3 cars that's been in Scale Auto, and I don't own one of the magazines. I own just about every magazine from way back, but I don't know the ones that my cars are in. I don't know why. But, yeah, I mean, just, you know, there's wide varieties, and just, you know, just pick through them, and you get all kinds of cool tips. Now, I almost bought this, I'd say back in 2009, 2010, back when I was really, I mean, I always used the airbrush. I mean, I remember back when I was just using a Tester's airbrush that I paid like $50 for, you know, the cheap one that's got the side draft, you know, cup on it and stuff, that I started using my metallizers. Never painted a car with it, but I always used my Tamiya clears and stuff, and I got good at it. Then eventually, when I upgraded to an airbrush and everything, I got really good at using my metallizers with my airbrush. But I wound up buying this because, you know, I got tired of using paint can, rattle can, to paint my models, because you really do a better job with airbrush, which I'm not perfect at, and I'm still new to it, and I got a lot to learn. But Danios has put this out. I think I paid like $20 for this. It used to be like $30, but I paid like $20 for it. And you know, it just gives you the basics, but there's a lot of good information on it, and you know, about how to airbrush models. And of course, you know, everybody's got their own techniques, but this is a good starter point for people who want to learn. But like I said, that's up to the individual person. Now, I bought this because I was really nervous about painting, painting my first cars with the airbrush, and you know. Oh, but some people, you know, he does have a wealth of information. So if you need to see things visually and stuff, you know, he's got a Patreon. Go over and check him out. If not, you know, if you're like me, you just like to get in there and try trial and error, then you can do it that way. But yeah. So, but anyway, that's basically it. I just wanted to do a little video on on material to help you figure things out. So you know, people, this is a hobby. Nothing has to be perfect. You know, you kind of get to a point, just like in anything in life, you want to change the way you do things, build, or that in general. You know, me personally, I look, you know, like everybody else, it's an art form to me, and I like to do everything by hand, you know, build everything from scratch. I find the fun in that. Some people like to build out a box and add detail, but sometimes we need reference to show us where things go, and to even give us the ideal of like everything doesn't have to be the way it is. You know, you could see that how they used to build back in the day or whatnot. So I highly suggest people to invest a little bit in the materials of of, just like I said, you know, get yourself some Scale Autos, you know, pick one of these up. I know Dr. Cranky does. Got one of these out, and a couple other guys. Just look them up, and you know, like I said, just these right here, they come in handy. They all kinds of information in them, and they're worth they're worth their weight in gold. So other than that, just trying to help you guys out a little bit. Some of you guys are new to the hobby, to show you that there's ways of seeing things instead of sitting there on Google and stuff all the time. So, but anyway, you know, like I always say, Love your families, love your pets, love your friends. Build smart, build efficient. I'll talk to you later, brothers and sisters. Bye.
Lucifers! Get it!
Sunday! Everybody gather around the strip for a once-in-a-lifetime drag. We have a very special race for you tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We have Lucifer driving his full nitro funny car Camaro, ready to shred tires in competition at hellish speed. Lucifer will be holding grudge matches all night, gambling for souls. Don't fret, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing will slow down his car, not even after crashes, gashes, or